Around 2015, Joel Embiid coined the term "the process." This was in reference to himself, who after missing 2 full years of basketball was having doubts cast upon him, as well as in reference to the 76ers, who were amidst pulling off one of the best rebuilds we've ever seen. And going into the 2017 draft and securing the number 3 pick, they looked like they were going to complete the process. Going into this draft, Lonzo Ball was far and away the most hyped prospect in this class. Every media and sports journal was covering Lonzo Ball and his eccentric family. He had the talent, the skill, the size, the range, the motor. He looked like the future of the NBA. Yet despite all his strengths, even his own father, the infamous LeVar Ball, said he was the number 2 pick. That's because Markelle Fultz was just that good. In college, Markelle Fultz was unstoppable. He was 6'4", 36-inch vert, averaging 23, 6 and 6 on 56% true shooting. Offensively, he could do everything. He shot 50% from 2, 40% from 3, and majority of his shots were taken off the dribble. He mainly created his opportunities with a variety of pick and roll responses, which is primarily how offenses are run nowadays, as his playstyle is consistently described as herky-jerky. But he also created opportunities for his teammates easily, being 16th in assists in the NCAA while playing less games than everyone above him and having a worse team. He had arguably no flaws in his game, so taking him number 1 was the obvious choice. And when Philly managed to trade up to secure the number 1 spot in the draft, the process looked to be on the brink of completion. But with Fultz's mysterious injury, he lost the driving factor to what made his game so versatile and top tier. So after a season of confusing diagnosis, misleading statements, and overall disappointment, it led to the people losing hope in him. Yet ever so slightly, he's been making moves, changing himself, clawing his way back up from the bottom. Today, I'm here to question if Markelle Fultz can truly make a comeback and become a star in this league, or if it's too late for him. To analyze a trend, you have to start at the beginning. This means going all the way back to Summer League. Him, Lonzo, and Tatum arguably popularized the Summer League, but this would also be the last time we saw a healthy Markelle, and from what we saw, he was good. He averaged 16, 2 and 3 on bad accuracy, but 38% from 3. From the 3 games he played, he was still creating his own shot off the dribble, off the ball, the same way he was doing in college, but it was clear that something was just off. His form had clearly changed. From college, you could see that he was more comfortable with his form. It was 2 motion, had a high release point, but he could get it off fast and consistently. Yet here, you can see in Summer League that he brings the ball out further, he tries to keep it 1 motion, and it's slightly jankier, I guess. When he ended up getting injured in Summer League, it seemed like a minor ankle injury, but when he returned from that injury, we didn't expect the major changes that we saw from him. He looked uncomfortable in his own skin, like he was trying to figure out the best way to shoot, even though he'd been playing basketball for 15 plus years. He looked like he forgot how to play basketball. And for the number 1 pick, forgetting how to play basketball while being the piece that was meant to complete the process wasn't going to work. So after he stunk up his first 4 games, he didn't play for 68 games before making his return. During his absence, there were consistent reports diagnosing Markelle's injuries, yet Markelle didn't even know what was happening. His team was confused, his manager was spreading misinformation, the whole situation was ugly. On March 28, 2018, Markelle would play a game for the first time in 213 days, making his grand comeback with his first shot being his patented step back, which he airballed, and this would sum up his stint in Philly. He never truly got back to being in a comfortable state. He had a youngest triple-double here, a 16-point career high there, and even a couple made threes, but only playing 33 games, or converted by minutes 14 total games, as 14 48-minute games over 2 seasons, it wasn't enough to justify him staying on the team, which led to him getting traded to the Magic mid-season, although he never got to play a game for them that year. When he finally got to play his first games, he showed up. In limited minutes, he was definitely showing improvement. He still wasn't good, but he was showing more consistency and confidence, and for someone who had barely played a full NBA season, it was all he needed. For his first 18 games, he didn't play about 30 minutes, but in this time, he attempted 36 threes despite his questionable form and health. He also averaged 12, 4 and 2, and even though he wasn't making his threes, the confidence to take them shows that he was working on them and working to get back. In spite of his lack of free ball, his other aspects of the game didn't dwindle. As the season progressed and Markelle became more comfortable in his body, his numbers started improving. On pull-up shots, he shot 43% on a decent amount of attempts because the core of his playstyle hadn't changed, navigating picks, etc, etc. But with him working more in the mid-range, his herky-jerky moves paired with his 6'4" height and 6'10" wingspan gets him easy looks and easy shots consistently. Even when they played the favoured champion Lakers, Markelle put on a show, recording a 21-point triple-double, not to mention, Markelle only missed 1 game that entire season while leading his team to the playoffs. This was the bubble season, so a good amount of games and training was missed. However, the 1 game he missed came prior to the season being stopped. In this season, we could really see that he took a step to becoming better. In the playoffs against the Bucks, they managed to steal a game off them, and in the 5 games they played, he stepped up performing adequately against a contending team, and this step he had taken would be even more evident in the 21 season, as through his first few games, Markelle averaged 18, 4 and 6 with 2 turnovers. Again, you could see clear improvement in all aspects of his game, becoming a great guard defender, a great playmaker, and was shooting 30% from 3, which is good compared to his previous 25%. Things were looking up for him, until in a game against the Cavs, he would have to be helped off the floor after suffering a knee injury on a drive. It turned out he had torn his ACL, which we've seen end many careers. This ruled him out for the rest of the season again, and just to add insult to injury, no pun intended, after he looked like he had recovered somewhat and began training with his team again, he fractured his big toe, making him miss the first 60 games of the 22 season. By the end of this season, he had missed 47% of possible regular season games in his entire career, and the 18 games he did play weren't enough to get him into a rhythm, which is why it's a down year for him compared to his previous seasons. You can clearly see that when Markelle gets into rhythm, he consistently overcomes his injuries and only gets better. He's currently having a career year. He's played 55 games and is averaging 14, 4 and 6. This is truly his comeback. There are still some flaws in his game. Clearly from 3, he hasn't returned even remotely. He's still a poor shooter, even shooting on low attempts, and his form is still uncoordinated. If you look at it, it just looks awkward. But low key, that might be where his flaws end. Markelle puts effort on the defensive end. Despite his large frame, he's good at fighting over screens and rotating as the defense moves. The rotating specifically, being 6'4", 210 pounds with an almost 7-foot wingspan allows him to cover a lot of ground quickly and get good contests on most shots. This is why he's extremely switchable. From practically 1 to 4, he's strong enough to fight against bigger players. We've consistently seen him outmuscle the likes of LeBron James. Paired with his active hands and frame, he guards multiple positions effectively. There's a reason he averages 1.5 steals, which is 14th in the league, and is leading his 25th seeded team to a top 15 defense. From the guard spot specifically, defense is a weak area. Just look at the top 5 point guards currently. Out of Steph Curry, Kyrie Irving, Luka Doncic, Damian Lillard, and Ja Morant, Curry is the only one who plays good defense. And defensively, he doesn't match up to Kel. The guard spot is tended towards offense, which Markelle has progressed in beautifully. Despite his lack of a free ball, Markelle plays winning basketball. In 2023, the Magic have an even record when Markelle has played. Without him, they're 5 and 16, a dramatic difference. He creates opportunities for himself and his team consistently by attacking the rim. He ranks 28th in drives amongst guards, but from this 28, he's 20th in assists created from drives. On top of that, only 16 players of the guards ranked above him average more total assists than him, despite playing less games than the majority of the players above him. Him also being able to finish around the rim at a higher rate helps draw defenders in, allowing him to dish out at a higher rate. His scoring is an underrated part of his game. Losing the ability to shoot would hinder a lot of other guards, however it doesn't hinder Markelle. From 16 feet and closer, he shoots about 45%, with his buckets coming in a variety of manners. In transition, the combination of his speed and strength gets him to the rim relatively easily, allowing for a quick look. In the half-court set, he still maneuvers around screens and bullies guards towards the rim, as was expected from him since draft day, but he can now more confidently counter with a signature step back than he previously could. His mid-range also applies to his free throw, as he's been shooting 80% for the past 3 seasons. That's better than the greatest player of all time. The only lacking aspect of his game is his 3-point scoring, but he uses that more like a heat check than a weapon, which keeps the defense honest enough to try to close. So I asked the question again, is it too late for Markelle Fultz? Hell no. Markelle has shown a consistent trend of improvement. From his first season where he arguably couldn't do anything well, ever so slightly he's consistently added elements to his game to make himself more useful. In year 2, he was moving well off ball with Ben Simmons as the primary playmaker. In year 3, he started gaining more confidence and improved his playmaking. In year 4, his free throw shooting and overall shooting took a step up. And currently, his aggressiveness and impact on team has skyrocketed. We've seen careers completely get ruined by injury. Derrick Rose, Penny Hardaway, Ben Simmons and more. Markelle has had a torn ACL, a fractured foot, thoracic outlet syndrome and others, yet through all this he's prevailed, and with the trajectory he's on, being able to consistently improve despite injury, I believe he can average within 20 to 24 points, especially if the scoring outburst we're currently seeing in the league continues. If only his scoring goes up and everything stays the same, I personally wouldn't hesitate to call Markelle a top 10 point guard. This would be a true comeback. If Markelle can accomplish this, he would have successfully met his expectations as a number 1 pick, and would move up on my list of the best number 1 picks. But if you want to see that list, click this video here. I leave you with this question. Who is better, 2023 Markelle Fultz or 2017 Washington Markelle Fultz? If you like the video, like the video. If you don't, don't. Subscribe if you want, and I'm done. Okay, bye.